Radio 161, great to make the hook up there, Matt.
User about.
Yeah, Matt, J. Juliet Alpha Yankee was my name for your further information.
Hi, this is CBRadioMagazine.com, and today we're going to take a look at the new Alpha 10 Mini AM/FM export radio. So we've removed the Alpha 10 Mini from the box and set it out here on our shop table. One of the first things you'll notice when you take this out of the box, it is one of the smallest export CB mobile radios that you've probably ever seen. It's about 6 inches by 6 inches in the width and depth of the radio. It's about 2 inches tall. The radio itself looks very simple. Nothing on the sides of the radio. The microphone jack is on the front. As you can see, it's a 6-pin jack. The faceplate's kind of a fake faux wood color. It's got the squelch and the volume knobs labeled. Everything else is labeled on the actual button besides the channel indicator. And the radio on the back is kind of interesting. We'll have a look there because it uses a little bit different type power cord. Looking at the back of the radio, you'll see the heat sink to dissipate the heat, and you'll see the antenna jack right in the middle there. I like the way that that's molded in there. It looks kind of cool. The external speaker jack is located on the right hand side, and just to the right of that is your actual power plug. This radio uses a different type of power plug than a standard 3-pin. It does use a 3-pin, but as you can see, this is going to be a bit of a different type of plug than you've seen before on most radios. We've connected power to the radio, our antenna, and the microphone, so let's turn on the radio and have a first look. The on-off is going to be the volume control. And this is an unconverted radio. It has not been modified for extended frequencies. You'll see it defaulted to the number or channel display. We can change that to the frequency display by pressing the frequency button. It's now switched to a 5-digit frequency display, and basically it's a 1 through 40 type setup. The radio initially unconverted, I believe it's defaulted us to channel 9, so if we put on channel 1, it's going to cover 28515 through 28955. Let's go through the functions on the radio, and we'll discuss what each one does, and then we'll show about how to convert this radio. This is your squelch control, volume control, which is also your on-off switch. There's a last channel recall button here, which remembers the last channel the radio was on before you change channels. The automatic squelch control, that's something we've also seen on the Alpha Max 10, AM1000, the other radio Alpha 10 has come out with. And the automatic squelch control, basically it monitors the static level. If you press it, it automatically will set the squelch according to what the radio thinks it should be at. And if a signal breaks it, then it'll come through. Now, we have noticed it works well for local talking. For DX purposes, the automatic squelch control probably isn't the best thing to use. It didn't cut in and out the way we wanted it to for DX. Next button along is going to be a scan function, so you can press that, turn up the squelch on the radio, and it will scan through all 40 channels or 40 frequencies that you have it set up for. So it'll scan, and if anything breaks the squelch level, then it'll stop, and then you'll hear. The next option here is going to be the AM/FM control, and you'll see the display here. We changed it to FM, back to AM. That's what that does. The DW here is a dual watch function, so what we can do is we can say we want to watch this frequency and also 28755, so we can press the dual watch button once, switch to 55, press it a second time, and now it'll just switch back and forth. So that way you can monitor 2 frequencies, and it'll just flip back and forth. If you hear anything on either one of them, it'll break the squelch and stop, and you can listen. Memory channels here, you can store your frequencies. It does not store both mode and frequency, it only stores the frequency. So if you want to do AM or FM, you still have to press the button. The memory channels basically enable them. You would select the frequency you want, you'd hold down, it'll flash, and now it's stored in there. So if we go here to the number 2 and go back to number 1. So nice, it has 4 banks there where you can store your frequencies. On the right hand side of the radio you saw the frequency display. It toggles between a channel display or frequency display. There's a BEP button. It doesn't do anything right now. Once we enable it, it should do a short beep when we do things on the radio. The channel 9 indicator here takes you to channel 9, and the channel 19 indicator will take you to channel 19. Now, once we expand the radio, things are going to change a little bit for some of these controls, so let's go through and show that. To convert this radio for export use, what you have to do is hold down the dual watch DW button and the channel 9 button while you turn on the radio. So you have the radio off, you press the channel 9 button and the DW button. It's a little bit of a stretch there. And you power it on, and you'll see all of a sudden now we have a 9D indicator. There's going to be 5 banks or bands of channels. It's going to be A through F, much like most export radios. And what you can do is you can see by pressing the channel 9 button. Channel 9 button now controls the band, so you can go A through F, A, B, C, D, E, F. And D is going to be the 11 meter frequencies. What you do is press the frequency button. Now we can see the frequency display. And you can see now that we've defaulted into channel 6, 27.025 AM. So that's how you convert it. If you want to go back to the original factory settings, you can turn off the radio. And in this case, we press the DW button and the M4 button. Power on the radio. And now it's defaulted back to the 28 megahertz range with the original factory settings. So once we've changed the radio for export frequencies, the only button that really does change completely is going to be the channel 9 button. Like I said, it now controls the changing of the bands. It no longer controls the channel 9 function. Channel 19 button still operates like the channel 19 button, takes you automatically there. The BEP button still does the beeping noise, so it lets you know you've hit one of the buttons control-wise there. Interesting thing that I found as you go through the bands, it will remember which channel you're on in each band. So right now we're in the D band, which is the 11 meters, and you can see channel 6. So let's say we go into the next band, which is E, and it shows channel 9. And as you can see in the rest of the bands, A, B, C, E, and F, it does show channel 9. So let's go to the E band. We'll change that to channel 10. We'll go to the F band and change that to 12. The A band will make 13, and the B band will go up to 15. And C, we'll leave it as 9. So what you can see is we're on channel 6 on the D band. We jump up to channel 10 in the E band, channel 12 in the F band, and these are all the frequencies, last frequency we were on in each band. So if you are going through and let's say you know, on this frequency is the one that you wanted to store in that band, you can go through and it will remember where you are as you jump around, which is kind of neat. So this is the inside of the Alpha 10 Mini, and as you can see, it's surface mount technology. There's only a couple of pots on the board that are adjustable. They're very small. Overall, it's very clean inside. Not a whole lot of room for anything because the radio is so small. The radio does have one of the shortest speaker wires you've ever seen, so be careful when removing the cover if you do remove it for any reason. The radio consists of basically 2 boards, one board which is the main board, and there is a second board for the face of the radio and the controls. On the inside board of the Alpha 10 Mini, if for some reason you are off frequency and you need to adjust, you will see on the very left corner of the board there, kind of looks like a white cylinder, and inside that is your control pot. That's the control pot for the frequency, so you can adjust that if you need to put the radio back on frequency. The Alpha 10 Mini does have illuminated buttons, and around the knobs it is lit up as well. So we'll show what that looks like when we turn the lights off. Everything is fairly well lit up and easy to see. The faceplate itself is a little bit see-through, so you do get a little bit of bleed of the light through it in areas where the buttons aren't. But everything well lit up, easy to see at night, so should make for easy operation in the mobile. The Alpha 10 Mini does use a microphone very similar to the one on the Alpha 10 Max AM1000. It's a small microphone, almost similar to the Magnum 257 microphones, the old ones. It has up-down buttons, and it also has an automatic squelch button in the middle, so it does make it handy to change channels while you're on the road. We did test the radio for output. It's doing about just under 10 watts on AM, and with modulation we saw a swing to about 15. Your average talk power swing is going to be in between about 12 and 15 on the wattage. With the whistle we did get up to around 17 watts, but not a whole lot of swing. Modulation adjustment, there really isn't a modulation pot inside the radio. There is a note on CB Tricks that if you do cut a trace, it disables the modulation limiter. They said they didn't recommend it. We will be doing some audio tests from the vehicle, so we'll get some recordings and see how this radio sounds like on the air. The radio doesn't have a noise blank or A&L, automatic noise limiter, option with it, so if you do get a lot of trash or static in your car, this radio may be not the one to go with, because you will be picking up a lot of that static. Just one more thing I guess I'll note is that just the size again of this radio, and we'll try and show here. It's just tiny, and I mean, you know, I can palm it basically, so it is one of the smallest radios you've ever seen. It's smaller than just about everything else. Maybe imagine like a Uniden 510, just slightly wider than that, and then you know, 2 inches shorter than that. So pretty interesting to have such a small radio. It uses a final capable of a 10-watt dead key, basically where it's set from the factory, so pretty impressive for that. Audio-wise, like I said, we'll have to do some tests on the air. Once we do that, we will post up the audio recordings, and as well we'll have a full review on our website, cbradiomagazine.com.